Oh, great. It looks like everyone's in. So good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Since there have been some inquiries around the contract with Joseph and Associates, we wanted to bring you all together to give a brief overview of the transition team that will be led by Dr. Sean Joseph and Dr. Betty Morgan. So at this time, I'm going to turn things over to our new superintendent, Dr. Tony Watlington.
Good afternoon, everyone. As superintendent of the School District of Philadelphia, my purpose and moral obligation to all Philadelphians is to improve outcomes for all of our very diverse student body, such that we achieve the board's goals and guardrails. And we want to do that in a way that positions the School District of Philadelphia to be one of the fastest improving school districts in the United States. Now, achieving this requires bold, strategic, and very intentional actions that I am pursuing collaboratively and with a sense of urgency on behalf of our students, families, and our community, because all of these groups deserve that. During my first year as superintendent, we will pursue 3 phases of work that I believe will lay a strong foundation for transformative growth. Phase 1, we're already in. That's my listening and learning sessions, my listening and learning tour, if you will. My listening and learning process began on June 16th, the day I was installed as superintendent, and it will continue through September. This involves 80+ sessions to hear directly from a wide range of Philadelphians and community members about what's working, what they believe is working, and what our community believes needs improvement in the school district. Phase 1, listening and learning process, June through September. The second phase of work during my first year will commence in July and will continue through the end of September as well. Phase 2 will involve a transition team. To assess a district the size of the School District of Philadelphia is a complex, complex, and we want to do that as quickly as possible. So I need the collective power of really smart people, locally and nationally, who can bring local knowledge together with the latest educational research and best practices across the country in order to, 1, assess the school district, 2, to share findings, and 3, to make short and long-term recommendations for sustainable improvement in these areas. So at the conclusion of phase 1 and 2, I intend to share share publicly with the Board of Education my 100-day findings and recommendations for our next steps as the school district. Phase 3 will then commence sometime in early October. Phase 3 will include the development process for a strategic plan. So phase 3 will be strategic plan development. The plan, which we expect to launch sometime in the spring of 2023, will reflect all of the qualitative and quantitative data that I reviewed during my listening and learning process and the transition team process. And it will be the district's North Star. It will be our roadmap, and it will outline how we align our time, which I believe is one of our greatest resources, our budgets, as well as our professional learning throughout the school district. I have engaged in a contract with Dr. Sean Joseph, who is the former MetLife Principal of the Year in the state of Maryland, which is an award presented by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. He's also a former superintendent in Tennessee and Delaware, and he co-leads currently the American Association of School Administrators and Howard University Urban Superintendents Academy. He will be one of our co-lead consultants. The other is Dr. Betty Morgan. Dr. Betty Morgan was an accomplished superintendent. She's a former National Superintendent of the Year. She's a former Chief Academic Officer for the Baltimore School District. And she's was the Chief Education Advisor to America's Promise Alliance. Dr. Sean Joseph, and Dr. Betty Morgan will assist me in 6 key areas. Area 1 will be to support my work in implementing the first 3 phases of work. Listening and learning process, developing and leading, helping me to facilitate a transition team, superintendent transition team, and of course, phase 3, the development of a strategic plan later this fall. So that's number 1. Number 2, they will assist me in bringing together a very big tent of local and national experts, teachers, principals, parents, students, grassroots organizations, and others in a structured way to support our work. Getting lots of voices around the table can be messy, and so I'm seeking some support from people who do this to help with that. 3, they will help to connect us with other urban districts across the country that are making academic progress in partnership with the American Association of School Administrators and Howard University Urban Superintendent's Academy in Washington, D.C. 4th, they will assess me in assessing our history, our district assets, and our needs. 5th, they will assist me in facilitating a deep data analysis into our core business of teaching and learning. And they're going to help me do that as quickly as possible, because we want to, as quickly as possible, identify the root cause of underperformance for a large group of students in the school district of Philadelphia. Specifically, at present, in the most recent round of PSSA assessments, 32% of our 3rd graders were advanced or scored at the advanced level on the English language arts PSSA. Similarly, only 22% of 3rd through 8th graders were proficient or advanced on the math PSSA for grades 3 through 8. And we're going to take a hard look to identify what do we need to do in the short and long term to increase our 4-year graduation rate, which is currently 80%, and to achieve the board's goals and guardrails, which is a very appropriate vision for our school district. Number 6, Dr. Joseph and Dr. Morgan will help me ensure systems coherence. In other words, I want to make sure that all of the work we do in the school district of Philadelphia going forward is focused, coherent, and aligned. Now, I intentionally made this to allow for me to have access to an array of local, internal, and external resources as needed as I work to assess every facet of the school district of Philadelphia. The data that I review, along with the information I gather during my listening and learning tour, will help me to determine what those external resources may need to be. So we're continuing to listen. I'm continuing to learn. I'm continuing to study our qualitative data, quantitative data, district reports, audits, etc. Now, there's been a lot of reporting about recommending the hiring of Joseph and Associates. So I want to talk about this very openly and very transparently. Very honestly, going to be very transparent here. First, prior to now, I have never entered into a contract with either Dr. Joseph or Dr. Morgan. Now, to be clear, I know Dr. Joseph and I know Dr. Morgan because they've done some pretty significant work in school districts and in the national space in public education. I have experienced Dr. Joseph's work as part of the American Association of School Administrators and Howard University Urban Superintendent's Academy, and in his former capacity as a National Wallace Foundation consultant, although I never paid him to be a consultant. I also worked with Dr. Morgan as part of a transition team that she led in Guilford County Schools, where I worked once upon a time. So I have professional experience with the processes and benefits of transition teams. Next, the consulting contract with Joseph and Associates was approved in May 2022, and allows for up to, I want to underscore, up to $450,000 in incremental payments to pay for a wide variety of services as needed to support this work. This work includes, but is not limited to, the following. 1, 100-day priority support, not to exceed $10,000. Number 2, senior leadership assessment and coaching, not to exceed $113,250. Number 3, transition team development, implementation, update reports, and additional reports as needed, not to exceed $150,000. Consultant support, other consultant support, not to exceed $82,000. Number 5, administrative and Board of Education retreats, not to exceed $12,000. 6, comprehensive strategic planning service, not to exceed $75,000. The contract covers the services of 10 local and national consultants, with Dr. Joseph and Dr. Morgan as the lead consultants, but I want to underscore they are not the only consultants. A payment of $450,000 has not occurred. The school district will receive regular invoices as we do this work, as the deliverables that we've identified are completed over the course of the fiscal year as part of our normal process. Now, ultimately, we may end up not spending all $450,000 that's allowed in the contract. It's possible that district staff may be able to take on some of the scope of work. However, I've decided I want to avail myself to a maximum amount of expertise, because we are really serious about achieving the board's goals and guardrails. And if we're going to do that, there are going to be some things in the school district of Philadelphia that are going to have to be different. And we have to make sure that we do whatever is necessary to get right, to inform how we get there. Since this was a unique situation as a new superintendent coming in and being appointed in early April, I knew that I needed to hit the ground running by day one. So I asked the board, and the board agreed to approve the contract with Joseph and Associates without a competitive bidding process. From April 1 until June 16th, I think from early April until June 16th, my contract required me to be in the district or to be working for the district remotely a minimum of 2 days. So I knew it was important to hit the ground running. I selected Joseph and Associates because I needed quick access to transition supports that were shovel ready on my first day on the job. And I have experienced the benefits of their work firsthand. I respect, at the same time, I want to be clear, I respect the board's competitive bidding policy and intend to follow a competitive bidding policy for contracts in the future. I'm excited about the work that is underway and the work on the horizon. And so I look forward to us working together to have an aggressive plan by the spring to achieve the board's goals and guardrails. And I'm looking forward to us as a school district positioning ourselves to becoming one of the fastest improving urban school districts in the United States. Thank you.